Good evening and welcome to the Drive at 5 on IntellectualRadio.com/iHeart radio station. I'm your host, Roman, and we have a good show planned for you today. But first, the forecast from our IntellectualRadio.com Weather Center. Today, cloudy, heavy showers and thunderstorms at times, 9 degrees tonight. Showers and thunderstorms, some might be heavy in local areas, so stay tuned to IntellectualRadio.com/iHeart radio station for details on the severity of each storm. Low 70 degrees. Tomorrow, cloudy with a few lingering showers until the afternoon. High 78 degrees. Tomorrow night, cloudy, partly cloudy. And guess what? The word we haven't heard in a while, chilly. Low 63 degrees. Wednesday, pleasant. Nothing. It's just going to be nice Wednesday. High 76 degrees on Thursday. Also pleasant. High 80 degrees. Friday, the rain returns during the evening hours. High 76 degrees. Daylight is approaching and is getting shorter. And if things are approaching 72 days before Halloween, 18 weeks and 127 days before Christmas Day. Ain't that something? The Drive at 5 is also part of the Monday night lineup, starting with a new show called Policy Matters with Jonathan Todd at 6 p.m., New Black Leadership at 7 p.m., Dream Makers at 8 p.m., 9 p.m., Chronicles of Ron, and Raw Checklist at 10 p.m. Also, The Drive at 5 is also part of the fabulous 5 at 5, only on IntellectualRadio.com. Today, my guest is the Executive Director of the African Festival of the Arts, coming up on Friday, August 31st through September 3rd at Washington Park. Please give a Drive at 5 welcome to Patrick Woodward. Welcome to the Drive, sir.
Thank you.
Please give IntellectualRadio.com/iHeart radio station your background.
First, I want to say thank you for clearing all the bad weather off, or also be ready to have good weather during the African Festival of the Arts.
It's not me per se. So.
It's going to rain now, and it'll be chilly, and then come the 31st through the 3rd, we'll have good, pleasant weather, and we hope all your listening audience will tune in and buy tickets and come to the festival. We have a great lineup. But first, the question is, where am I from? I was born in Liberia, and I've been in Chicago longer than in Liberia. I came to school here in 1976, got a master's degree, went back. There was political problems in Liberia. Everybody knows we had a war. First, there was a coup in 1980. They killed the president, many people. And then there was a war 10 years later, and since 1982, I've been here. So I've lived longer in Chicago area than in Liberia. And coming here in 1982, if those who are old enough, Jimmy Carter was president. If you're born if you're old enough at that time, the economy was pretty bad. 18% interest rate, probably 12-15% unemployment, and I could survive by my own wits and doing things to survive. And the thing I started was to open a shop, an African shop. I did street selling
in Chicago. You opened up a shop in Chicago,
right?
What kind of shop?
An African store with gifts, jewelry, clothes, baskets, masks, just some of everything coming out of Africa. I did a lot of street selling in Chicago area and around the country. Then in 1986, I opened a real store in Harper Court. Before then, it was just like little things, little stands here and there. And the first major stand was in Zaire, 76th and Stony Island. And from there, I opened a smaller outlet in a basement in Hyde Park. Then moved into Harper Court in 1986. And that's where the African Festival of the Arts began. It started as a promo for Harper Court, where they asked me in my contract to do promotions and things that would bring crowd to the site. And the first one was a major fashion show, which was really good. And then after that, we did a vendor related kind of event, and it was even better. So then the idea say, oh, but before then, there's a major fair in Hyde Park called the 57th Street Art Fair. That fair before the African Festival of Arts wouldn't allow black artists. So
So the 51st Street,
57th Street Art Fair,
57th Street
Art
didn't
Fair,
allow African art to be on?
black artists.
Black artists, period?
They
Why?
didn't have a space for them. They say it was jury, when they say somebody is jury, somebody deciding who can be in the show. And for the most part, black artists were not allowed. But now, since we started the African Festival of Arts, and that was one of the main reasons, one of the impactors to start the African Festival, because there was all these black creative people in Chicago area in all kinds of materials, from fine art to jewelry to ceramics to just about anything you can name. And they had no outlet. They had no visible. There was no art fair in Chicago that accommodated them. So being in Window to Africa in the central point, I started telling artists, look, we can start our own. We don't have to go to where they don't want us. So we started the African Festival of the Arts in 19. Well, it was not called the African Festival of the Arts, but then it was just an art fair. We did it in 1987, 88, 89, before we called it the African Festival of the Arts. And as to say, the rest is history. Now it's one of the biggest events around the country, and every major city that has a black population, even some cities that don't have a big black population, they've copied the African Festival of Arts. You go to Madison, they now have a festival. You go to just about anybody, Indianapolis, all over. Now you have African festival all over the country, and they are direct copies of the African Festival of Arts.
You said something that was key to the history of how it got started. So basically, you're saying that, you started from the basement, right?
Right.
And the basement, you just decided to, like, you did a lot of vending.
Mm.
So you decided to go to 51st and they said no. How was the reaction when when they said no to African American art?
Well, it's a process, it's a protocol, and when people deny you your right, most times they are not very obvious. They say, "Oh, this is jewelry. Send us your slides. Send us your material." Somebody will judge and see if you are creative, if you fit, if your creativity is of the standard that we are looking for. And most people, when they deny them, they just walk away. They wouldn't fight it. They had no choice but to go home and be quiet. But me coming from the outside, I saw things differently. And so we don't have to buy into this. We can start our own. The black population in Chicago is diverse, it's big, and yeah, some middle class who might like your work. So let's start an event that black people enjoy and own in the African Festival of Arts. Thanks to the support from Chicago and around the country. Now it's international. We have people coming from all over the world. We have vendors coming from Kenya, from Nigeria, from Niger, from Mali, from Liberia, and all over to show their work, their creativity. And Chicago has been very nice and supportive of the African Festival of the Arts.
Every year, the African Festival has a theme. What is this year's theme and the meaning behind it?
Well, this year, looking at all that's happened in the last, well, when Obama was president, we had some love, and now it's like
It says, "Show me some love."
when Obama was president, we said we had some love from
Oh,
the highest
some
power.
love. Okay.
Now that we have different forces, different ideas in power, we are out of love. There's nobody loving us. Now they say send those people, immigrants home, send those people. We don't want them. People talk of shithole countries, but yes, some of those countries supply your coffee. And I tell those countries, hold back the coffee. Americans will come crawling because everybody will, will want to drink coffee. They'll come begging for. They won't call you shithole country anymore. So
So you're saying hold back the
oh, yeah,
coffee?
don't send a coffee to America just for 2 months.
Okay.
They will come begging. They won't call you shithole anymore.
Were
Just
you,
coffee alone.
well, since you brought it up, were you offended when Donald Trump said that? I mean,
Well, there's where I come from. We have a saying that if you see somebody who is running naked in the street and you take it your clothes to run after that person, everybody say, "Oh, look at those naked people," or "Look at those crazy people." So when you see somebody acting out of place who is not relating to what you are, why feel offended? Just say it's a crazy person. I don't know if Donald Trump is crazy, but some of the things he says and does seem crazy to me. So I'm not going to feel offended. I just say, oh, that's the way he is. That's who he is. And you could see from the African perspective, no country reacted because they understood who they're dealing with.
so this year's theme
It's love,
is love,
love.
love,
And that's
and
a deep word. And from where I come from, it means a lot. First, you have to love yourself before anyone can love you. If you don't love yourself, people are going to see that you have anger, you have all kinds of outlook that don't fit society. So love yourself, and then you'll fit into other people looking at you and judging you differently. Your outlook be different. You approach people differently. Be more accepting, and in that way, people will relate to you better than if you go out there and not liking yourself. For instance, if you try to bleach your skin and look like somebody you are not, people think you are strange
why?
because the average black person with a black skin is black. Why changing? If people can see that you are trying to change from being black to something else, I'm sure most people agree that they'll judge you to say that person, something's wrong with that person. Why they changing? Why they pinching their nose? You walk around with a pinch around your nose to look like something you are not. Somebody might think that something's wrong. Or why go cut your lips to make it look thin when you are born with a gift? The gift from the Creator. Nobody can make you the way you are. When it comes from your heritage, your people. And if you don't love yourself, it means you don't love your people. You don't love your heritage. So be accepting, be who you are, love yourself, and your outlook in life will be different. And the way people look at you will be different and more accepting.
Now, this year's theme of love couldn't come at a better time than what we're facing here in Chicago with the violence and stuff. So, what is your perspective of adding love to what you see of the shootings, black on black crime and stuff?
I believe the team is in response to what's going on in the world, in America, and particularly in Chicago. Because it seems like the crime has to do with people who have no idea what life is. They have no idea of God's creation, this gift. I'm not sure if there's any other place in the world where you have this gift of life. Not just life, but intellectual beings who can make airplanes fly, who make all kinds of wonderful things. Take sugar cane and turn it into sugar, purify it, and make it tasteful. Life is a beautiful thing, and for people not to understand that beauty and try to just destroy it before it even has a chance to mature, it's very sad. So our theme incorporates what's going on around the world in America and particularly in Chicago. We hope that what's happening, people can begin to change direction and first love yourself and love your people, and then you value life. If you have no value for yourself, you know have no value for life. So
And that's what you see what's going on out here in Chicago, that there is no value. And well, let me put this into kind of like perspective of a theme, because I really like the theme of love. In Africa, even though you're saying you were here more, but you tune into Africa and the roots of Africa. The motherland, you're my brother. But some people look at you and say, you're not my brother. But when you're somewhere else, brother is a brother no matter what. Am I incorrect or correct? And can you explain that a little bit to our listening audience on intellectualradio.com?
you are right that I'm your brother, and from creation's point of view, we all came from the same seed, and that seed was probably planted at the same time. If you are somebody who believes in evolution, that seed was planted way back then, at the very beginning. If you are somebody who believes that God created the world, that God is a powerful God, He designed everything for His own place, for His own destiny, His own way to be, what it's going to be, to regenerate itself. And so, from the very beginning, we all were part of creations or evolution. And so, we have to value this great design, either through evolution or through God. And that has to be respected. Life is a very special thing. I don't know if anybody can imagine where this thing here called Earth and life is anywhere. I cannot imagine. It's a great gift that was designed way from the very beginning, and we must live it, respect it, and enjoy it. So the theme is to respect what life is to respect what we human beings are and what we are capable of doing, loving one another and being the caretaker of what evolution of God has placed us in.
What is the difference this year in comparison to last year and other years of the African Festival of the Arts?
Well, since 2008, we've been in the rebuilding mode where the economy was the right way imploded or exploded or went into a standstill or free fall. And that affected the African Festival of Arts, where we've really struggled to make it happen. And through that time, because of corporate America relationship to people of color, and because we as people would have these major corporations that support our culture, we, many of the black institutions, black cultural centers, really felt it to the point that some of them went under. We've been very lucky to manage to be creative in sustaining ourselves. And so over the years, since 2008, we've managed to sustain and build and do it every year to the point that we are now at a point we believe we're getting to be stable. For the first year since 2008, we don't really owe anybody outside. We are at the beginning of rejuvenation. So we are able to bring some of the entertainment we used to have before then, before 2008. Like if you look at our history, we brought people like George Duke, James Brown, Rachel Farrell, Shaka Khan, people from Africa, Hugh Masekela, all kinds of names we brought to the festival.
My favorite group,
And
Third World.
third word. And
Yeah.
this year we are able to
Mm.
rise to the occasion and bring Shion Kuti, who is the son of one of the icons of African music.
Well, can you explain who she is?
Shion Kuti is the son of Fela Kuti.
Mhm.
Fela was a political activist, but musician also. He's the father of what they call uh, Afrobeat. Afrobeat is a major movement now around the world. And Shion Kuti is playing with his father's band, Egypt It,
Mhm.
the original band.
It's
So
a he, right?
it's a he.
Okay, I got it wrong.
Kuti.
Shion Kitu.
Shion Kuti.
Shion Kuti.
Right.
Okay.
So he's playing like his father. He's also like a activist like his father. And to bring him on the south side in our people's backyard is a major endeavor and great for black people that you can see someone like Shion Kuti in your backyard. Then we have somebody like Keisha Cole,
Mhm.
a Grammy winner, who is also going to be on the bill this year. Of course, I think many people in Chicago should know about Twister. He's been around for a long time, and he's one of our first major names in rap. So for a long time, some people have not heard from him. He lives right here in Chicago, and he's going to be on the bill. Then we have Angela Wimbush, who I think the last time she was here was probably when we brought her. That was before 2008. And she's coming back this year. And of course, Shaggy has now been on the south side in the backyard of black people, right in Hyde Park, Washington Park. So you'll be able to see these big names on the weekend of Labor Day weekend, August the 31st to September the 4th. And you can go on the website and find out when and what day they'll be playing.
Every year, the African Festival puts on an amazing show. You mentioned Angela Winbush, who's one of my favorite female artists, and and don't tell her this, but she doesn't look her age. I mean, she don't. I mean, really. And see, you're blushing because you know where I'm coming from. You you get a good response. That's why I'm finding it hard to believe that it was struggling back in 2008 because of the economy, but you put on an amazing production year after year after year. So how do you maintain the response of the people? Because you said it was a struggle in 2008.
From 2008 till this
Yeah,
year now.
and you're fine right now, but
Mhm.
I'm just saying that how did you maintain that the audience interest in African culture, African history, and it was not just about African. It was like we embrace whoever. So
Well, first we have to know the history of Chicago, of course, discovered or founded by DuSable. And since then, there's been a strong support for blackness. Many of the major things that are black came through Chicago to be successful. People tell me that Martin Luther King had to come through Chicago to become national, to be respected around the country. And then, of course, recently, the only black person to be president of the United States had to come to Chicago. In Chicago, there's a strong root of people who are into African culture and respect themselves and love who they are as black people. So we've been blessed with a core of people who always supported us. Even when we did not have the corporate support, they bought tickets and came on. Some of them made donations. They knew we were struggling, so they came and supported. Like if they don't have money, we print out about 200,000 bookmarks. Some of them will come take a box and spread it around and try to get people to the event. On top of that, we've been very creative. Before we had three stages, one dedicated to the young people rap, and one for what we call world music. But we had to cut them down to be able to continue work. And on top of that, we do some of the same things that we always done, but to a lesser extent. And people who come to the festival, most times they don't notice the difference. But the festival, we've really managed to cut it back a whole lot. But because we're putting all these other fluff and other things to go along, most outsiders do not notice. The people who started with us, they know the difference. But they've managed to support us through these years. And
What
as
was
of
the decision, not to cut you off, what was the decision to let um, you to decide to, yeah, because you did have three stages, the world stage, and
hip
then you
hop,
had
the hip
the
hop,
the main stage, the
yeah,
hip hop and the children
yeah.
stage. I know the costs and stuff like that. Those are major factors into the decision. But what made you say, you know what, this year we're just going to have one main stage and we're just going to have to fit everything in?
Well, 2008, the sponsorship dropped by 75%. So we are at a crossroad whether to produce the festival or to cancel or to postpone and make it come back once every 2 years. And there are major events, black events around the country who went through the same thing. Like the big festival in Atlanta, the Atlanta Black Festival. They went through their struggle with funding. And I am hoping and praying that they are climbing back out of the hole as well. Or like Dusaba. Dusaba has struggled through these years. So when you are at a point where resources are limited and coming out of Africa and being black people say you take a lemon and make a lemonade. We Africans, we say we improvise. Where we don't have the resources, we improvise. We become creative and do things that will help us to sustain and continue. So it's been a lot of creativity, and we are praying and hoping that corporate America will look at us differently and begin to support us again.
Now, there was something on Facebook that basically says, you know what, why black events such as yours, that's black owned, black operated,
Mhm.
rely on corporate to make those type of decisions? I mean, not saying they per se, but funding
Mhm.
to force feed the decisions instead of us as a community. We're, according to Forbes magazine recently, we surpassed the $1 trillion mark. Remember, year after year, a lot of people say we're heading for that trillion. We surpassed it.
Like
We're
1.4 now.
yeah, $1.4 trillion. So you're saying that we can't come together to support the African festival that's filled with our culture, our people? You say to that.
First, we have to be thankful for the small group of people who sustain us over the years, making donations, volunteering, and buying tickets. But again, as I said before, if you don't love yourself, you don't love your culture. You not find a way. You have no value to support it. So that's been a major problem for Black people. When I came, I heard a word or a saying. The white man's eyes is colder. They rather go shop downtown than to support their own vendor right in their backyard where they can walk to. So it has been an issue with culture. If you go to Lollapalooza, their ticket is probably $300 a day. Our ticket when you buy your bands is $15, and we bring just as big names as Lollapalooza or some other events. So some people rather go downtown to Lollapalooza and pay $300. Of course, they have many more stages, but I think you can only watch one act at a time. You might have 50 stages, but you'll be watching one stage at a time. You won't be able to see 50 acts. And for us to bring multiple acts, multiple days to the south side, and some people because they have no value for themselves or for their culture. They don't support it. Secondly, we as Black people wouldn't have that many large corporations to support our events. So we tend to rely on corporate America, which is the main force in America. And we, as a people who buy from corporate America, we consume their products. So that's why I see many Black people go to them, and sometimes they support us decently, sometimes they give us handouts.
Is it irritating to you to see that happening as a creator of this event? Is it frustrating?
It's frustrating, it's not irritating, because people own resources and they use those resources the best way they think they should use their resources. If it's a public resource, then it'll be irritating. But if I'm going to name in a corporation that's not Black, if I'm going to them, it's like even though I consume their products, Black people consume their products, I have no leverage on them to force them to give me. Like I want to go and say, okay, this is my property. I can help you do this. I can help you with your products. My people consume more of your products. So if you support me, you're supporting yourself. And that's how corporate America look at events. What is the bottom line for them? What can they get out of it? They are using you to expand their market. And you have to be creative enough to tell them, okay, I have 200,000 people. You come for 4 days, you'll be able to reach 200,000 additional consumers that will eat your product, consume your products. And hopefully we are out of the hole where we are not being disrespected, that they will look at us as a viable market. $1.4 trillion is a big market. And some corporations spend a lot of money to reach that market, and which is a small part of it, but a major part, because we not just bring those 200,000 people together over the weekend for their weekend, but we promote. We are on social media, we're on the radio, we're on TV. So our reach is more than just the people who come in the park. Like I'm here today with you. I don't know how big the audience is, but if I say we have Commonwealth Edison supporting us, maybe I'm reaching 400,000 people on this radio, and they get to hear and know about Commonwealth Edison. And in today's tech world, Commonwealth Edison, somebody can just sit down there and Google Commonwealth Edison and know what to do and know the products they have. So I think most events now, other than the physical reach of actually touching the consumer, people come to the event. Now it's international. If I put your name on my Facebook page, people in Africa, Australia, China, I've reached people in Russia trying to figure out who am I, what African festival artist who's coming. So most events are international now.
You had to mention Russia, didn't
Of course, we got our best, the president, the friend of our president, Putin over there. So I'm sure they look at everything we do in America.
So please explain the African art that will be on display for the people, for the possibility of purchasing. Can you explain you, because each and every year, excuse me, like even though people can't see this beautiful artwork right here, each and every year you have an artwork display.
Mm.
Number one, it goes with the theme.
Mm.
Number two, it's displayed. So can you tell where the artwork will be displayed and the meaning of the artwork and who's the artist?
Okay, first, the artist Frank Frazier, he's a great friend of mine. He was the first to do an official poster for the African Festival of the Arts. That year was 1994 at the Field Museum. He took an image and put Chicago skyline in the back of it. And ever since he's been coming to the festival, he's a major name for black artists. Almost anybody who's somebody in America has a piece of his work. And he donated this piece to represent the theme love. But secondly, I must explain what the African Festival of the Arts is. The festival is a grouping of different activities exhibiting black art and culture, exhibiting our creativity. Just imagine coming to the festival Labor Day weekend. You don't have to cook because we have an international food court. You'll be able to taste food from Jamaica, from Nigeria, from Senegal, from soul food, vegetarian food, all of that is in the food court. We have about 40 vendors in the food court selling different kinds of food. That's just one little part. Take the quilting pavilion, we'll reach back and try to showcase the black history of quilting. What did it mean? So you can come and go to the quilting pavilion, you'll learn the history of quilting and some of the meaning, how quilting was to help slaves move from the South to freedom. Then, of course, we have the Fine Art Pavilion where Frank Frazier, Woodrow Nash, and other artists, black artists, are located selling their products. Then we have Kush, where you see wearable art from earrings to beautiful garment like right now. This is Jimmy King. He's one of the favorite vendors at it.
Is he at Chicago?
He's from Nigeria. He's flying for this event. He's one of the favorite vendors at the African Festival of Arts. Then we have the Drum Village, where you can come and learn about African drums or percussions and participate in jam sessions. Then you have the Marketplace, where you have African vendors from across Africa with all kinds of things that are of African origin, from beads to baskets uh, to things you can use in the home, mats, chairs, African beds, all kinds of stuff you can buy in the marketplace. Yeah.
Is let's say I'm listening to intellectualradio.com/iHeart radio station.
Mhm.
Is it too late for me to vend?
Yeah, I believe it might be.
Yeah.
We start selling the vendor spaces in March. So there might be a few openings, but I'm not sure. I've got to talk to the vendor. Go on site, go on the website, African Festival Chicago, and figure out if there are openings for vendors. That's what I would tell the listening audience who wants to vend. Um, but I want you to use your imagination and see black people.
Well, the problem is that and a lot of people say this for quite some time. It's kind of like people busy, and then once it hits in front of your face, oh, this is coming up. How can I vend? So it's well. You said you have a food court, right?
Mhm.
There's a growing market of black entrepreneurship, right? So what about expanding it a little bit for okay, we're gonna do like uh, a $5 holla type of thing. Not saying it for $5, but I'm just saying a $5 holla for the late people, and just say, you know what, okay, but you won't be for all the days. You'll be here for this specific day or this specific day or something like that.
That's an interesting idea. I think we've toyed with, we looked at, and part of the consideration is that we want to limit the number of vending participants so that everybody can have a good experience. Everybody have a chance of making some money.
Mm-hmm.
We could normally we cut off our vending at 280. Sometimes we have like 40, 50 vendors who want to come in, but we said
At
no.
the last minute.
Yeah,
right?
we said no. These people have paid. Let's give them a chance to make some money.
Mhm.
If you overpopulate your vending area and you don't expand the
Mhm.
number of people coming through, That's not fair to people who are paying to be there to sell their products. You say it's $10 million who come in to the on a weekend spend over there.
Mm-hmm.
If you have 300 vendors dividing $10 million, just see how much each person gets. Now, if you increase it to 500, that's reducing the potential of people getting that much money. And then the logistics, we provide tents for every vendor. So, and we provide electricity for every vendor.
But let me say this. Could it be an idea
Yeah, we've
for
tried with it.
an
Yeah.
idea to have like something that leads up to to Labor Day, maybe the weekend before
Mhm.
or something like that. Just a little small vending, like they have these black owned and operated truck festivals
Right.
that you can do the, black experience African. I'm brainstorming here,
Yeah,
but
yeah. Hey, you're on the right track. We
but
oh,
I'm just saying that a lot of people sometimes they like a let's say a slice short of a loaf of bread,
right,
so to speak,
right. A
and
square. It's a buy a pack of cigarette now. When I was a kid back in Africa, we used to sell a steak out of the pack. Come to Chicago, and I'm walking down, and somebody said, "Brother, you need a square?" And I'm saying, "What is a square?" Oh, you don't know about square? I said, "No." He said, "Oh, you want one? you, you can buy one cigarette instead of the pack." I understand what you're saying. And through the 29 year of doing this event, we have done a lot of things to build it up. We've considered many, many ideas. And when we had a corporate support, we used to do something called the gallery walk. And that's how come many of the black artists really found their footing in Chicago to become artists full time. At the time, there was not really galleries promoting black art. So we used to take buses and go to black the studios of black people and try to promote them. And then when we look, few galleries grew in the place, and we used to take people, some 150 people on a gallery run where we go and transport them to different galleries to have experience, expose them to the artists. Then before that, we had what we call Taste of Africa, which was basically a food festival. At that time, there was only one African restaurant, and that was Vivi on the north side. And through that process, there have become probably 15 or 20 African restaurants in Chicago. So we promoted not only black entrepreneurs, but we promoted their products. Now you can go around Chicago, and if I say Jack Food, you know what that is. Before then, we didn't have. There was probably one Jamaican restaurant on 87th Street. Now there are many, many Jamaican restaurants and trucks selling Jack food. Before then, there was probably just one African store, Window to Africa in Harper Court, selling masks, clothes, some of everything. Now there are stores all over, not just in Chicago, but in the suburbs, braiding shops. There was only one braider in Hyde Park, Musugbe. She was on 53rd Street. And we did braiding demonstrations pre-festival and during the festival. Now there are many braiders across Chicago. Almost every block on the south side has a braiding shop.
Mhm.
But we develop jobs, we develop businesses. That's what a festival does. The festival is more like an incubator. Now that we don't have the corporate or financial support, we partner with the Park District where we showcase black artists, especially performers. We take them to parks on the south side, jazz artists, blues artists, R&B artists, and they perform free in different neighborhoods in the parks. So, and then our space also allows us to bring different things in a place. We so have a miniature version of the Taste of Africa, the food festival. We call it a movie and a dinner.
Mm.
We brought different films into the building, and people order their food, and we show the film and have discussions. We also have workshops and other things in our place. We have done a lot to promote Black culture in Chicago. Uh,
Have that black culture have returned to favor, you think?
yes,
Yes.
Chicago has grown. Chicago has become more accepting. Without all of some of these things happening, where white people became to learn and know about African people, about Black people. If somebody doesn't know about you, most likely they'll be ambivalent. They'll be suspicious of you. They wouldn't want to be close to you. But I think all the things that we did over the years helped to clear the mind and the space for somebody like Barack Obama to become president. Uh, we did fashion shows across this country. And when we look, Elle, the cover of Elle magazine had a Black African design sweater. They started going to Africa. Of course, Imani was major when she first came. She came before us. But now there are many more Black models in all the major magazines and fashion shows. So spreading who we are, our creativity, our personalities, our aesthetics to people in America has made a big difference of what America is, other than in the last year or so with the new presidency where they're trying to take things backward.
Do you
Uh,
think? Do you think? Not to interrupt, but do you think that? Do you find it easy or easier or difficult since having the African festival, explaining or showcasing different African cultures at the festival?
yeah, I'll tell you the difference. When I came here in 1976 to go to school, many people they now understand. Many Black people they now understand their own heritage. If you walk back on the South Side and spoke to the average person about being African, that they are of African heritage, you were most likely to hear, "I ain't no African," which showed a high level of ignorance. When I opened the outlet in Zaire on 76th and Stony, every time I put out masks and different things, after school, kids would come and stand and just laugh at these masks and call them voodoo. But now you have churches wearing African clothes as part of their protocol for church. You have schools who actually want drummers to come in there and teach drumming. Many people have gone to Africa, and the festival is known for, I don't know if you can call it matchmaking, but people actually come there. And it's interesting when I walk down Chicago and meet people, couples. They'll say, "Oh, I met my spouse at the African Festival of Arts." It brings Black people together. And some of those people have gone to Africa. There's
if
been
you if
some
you
level.
if you can't get one way, you can get it another, right?
So the festival has been helpful in exposing Black people to their own culture, their own heritage, and it's easier today. Many Black kids can tell you Africa is not a country. They can name few countries in Africa.
More and more Africans are moving to Chicago. Can you explain this phenomenon, obsession with Chicago? Have you saw an increase since you've been um, executive director of the African Fest?
Well, I came here to school in 1976. At the time, the biggest, largest number of Africans immigrants in Chicago were from my country, Liberia, and that's because Liberians have been in Chicago since the 50s. In fact, the first Liberian to live in Chicago came in 1947. And then the man who became Consul General for Liberia, Alexander Bay, he came in 1952. So as you move in, most immigrants follow the same pattern. One or two people come, and they see they like the place, and other people from their home country come and follow them. In 1989, we showcased the Senegalese ballet, and fortunately or unfortunately, many of them stayed and never went back to Senegal. When we did the festival as a marketplace for the first time in Harper Court, many African vendors who were in New York, staying and vending around New York, came to Chicago. They made so much money. They love it. They saw it as an open market, a new market. Most of them stay. So it's the same for professionals. Chicago has really opened up for immigrants. It's friendly to immigrants. Many of our people who are educated have corporate jobs in Chicago. We have a person who's in the Chicago area who is a school board president. He's first generation African. We have people who are deputy commissioners in city government. We have people working in all levels, corporate as well as we have churches here. So it's open the space for African immigrants to come. And when people come and call back home and say, "Oh, I'm doing okay," then most likely their relatives will follow. And that's the fascination with Chicago.
What you hope to see in the African Fest in the next 5 years?
Well, first this year, hope we can make it happen and make it big. Because next year, I want it to be even bigger. Next year is the 30th anniversary. I hope we can really make it big and bring some of the major personalities and performers from Africa directly to showcase the continent in a different way. Hopefully, some countries can come and participate at a different level, bring their tourism as well as export promotions activities to promote in Chicago. In the next 5 years, I hope the new generations, younger people will come and take over the production of the festival and bring new energy, new vision, new performers. Like this year, we have mainly young people programming the festival, and that's why you see a lot more younger performers there. Of course, they're not that young, but compared to some of the people we used to bring back from the 60s and so on and so forth, it's getting younger, and hopefully in the next 5 years, the next generation will take over and make it a bigger and stronger event.
Well, to our executive producer, we would love to come next year to broadcast live. I'm holding your feet to the fire on this one. You see Earl smiling over there. So we'll talk about it.
We are looking and open for partnerships at all levels, especially in the media. You want to come this year? I'll have the space. You want a telephone wire? Do you do wireless? You do
Yeah.
wireless? You can come this year and broadcast from site.
See, Earl,
So,
signed, sealed, and delivered.
so
Right
Earl,
here on the drive at 5.
right here. You can come this year and broadcast from site.
Okay, so please give intellectualradio.com/iHeart radio station your where they can buy tickets and where they can basically get you online and get in contact with you. You're a wealth of information. I would love for you to come back and talk about the culture and the history if possible.
Well, thank you, and you've been kind, and we appreciate this opportunity to talk about the festival. And if you want more information, you can go to the website as www.aihusa.org, and then go to the festival link, and you'll find most of the information on the talent and the different pavilions, cultural pavilions there. And of course, you want to call the office is 773-955-ARTS. That's 773-955-2787. And we are always open. most Africans, you put a microphone in front of their face, they'll talk all day.
Well, Earl won't have no problem with that. So
And
you bring the people, he'll interview them, right?
oh, if you want 50 people right now to come and talk, just call Africans. They'll be they love the microphone. And I'm one of the I'm one of few Africans who don't like microphones, and I don't like my recorded voice. I don't think people understand me, but Radio Land, I hope you're able to understand most of what I was saying. If you don't understand me, go to the website and you'll be able to
One
buy.
more time for just in case.
You can buy tickets around Chicago. We have different outlets. You go on the website, you see the outlets, you'll see the addresses, but the website address is www. In fact, you don't have to do all of that. Just go to African Festival Chicago. It will take you to our website, African Festival Chicago, and you'll be able to click on our site.
And we'll do one better than that because our executive producer, Earl Winfrey, we have two outlets. We'll do you a solid. One will be advertised on our sister Facebook page, Black Events. And the other one is Black Products and Black Services on Facebook. That's actually out there now. So thank you so much for joining us. Thanks to Earl Winfrey, our executive producer, who will be live at the African Festival of Arts.
We appreciate it.
And Wanda, who's behind the scenes. Next week, we'll have part 2.
And just for your information, those who did not understand this Liberian accent, I have a 5 cents bag. You send me 5 cents, and I can send you a bag of accent from Liberia.
I'm going to hold you to that, too. Have a good week, everyone.
Okay, thank you.